Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We love picking topics based on what you're curious about, and this time we're diving into something that really caught my eye: photo albums.
Yeah, photo albums.
Specifically, photo albums in today's world.
Yeah.
You sent in this article about it, and it just got me thinking about how couples are documenting their relationships now. It's kind of wild how much things have changed, right?
It is.
Like we've gone from those massive photo albums our parents had, all the ones that weighed like 10 pounds, to Instagram stories that disappear after 24 hours.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a huge shift. So let's unpack it. The article you sent really emphasized the emotional weight of those physical photo albums. Like they're not just pictures, are they?
No, they're not.
They're like tangible pieces of the past, almost like you're holding a memory in your hand.
Absolutely. There's something really powerful about holding a physical photo album,
Yeah.
feeling the texture of the pages, turning them one by one.
Yeah, you can't really replicate that digitally, can you?
It's hard. The digital world is all about instant gratification. It's easy to just swipe through hundreds of photos on your phone. But with a physical album, you're forced to slow down, savor each image.
And it feels more intentional, too. Like someone took the time to carefully select those photos, print them, arrange them in a specific order. It's almost like a curated exhibit of memories.
Exactly. And that act of creation adds another layer of meaning to it, doesn't it?
For sure. But okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room: digital storage. It's so convenient, right?
Incredibly convenient.
I mean, snap a photo, it's on your phone. You can share it instantly with anyone. It makes you wonder, though, is this convenience making those old school photo albums obsolete?
Well, the article touches on this. It talks about how easy digital storage is, how social media has become the main way we share our lives, and how this has definitely impacted how people approach photo albums.
Interesting. So what you're saying is even though those physical albums might have this emotional pull, there's no denying that digital is winning the convenience game.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But it's also brought up this trend towards minimalism, too. Decluttering, getting rid of unnecessary stuff.
Oh, yeah, right. Minimalism.
So in that context, those big, bulky photo albums might start to feel a little out of place.
I see what you mean. But honestly, even with digital storage, I feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of photos I have.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a never-ending stream of pictures. I take a million photos, but I rarely ever actually look at them.
Oh, I totally get that. It's funny because you have thousands of photos, but you're not really engaging with the memories they represent.
Exactly. And even if I wanted to create a digital album or something, it's just so time-consuming to sift through all those photos.
That's a big part of it. The article actually calls it digital overload. Like we're drowning in digital images, but we're not really connecting with them.
That's a perfect way to describe it: digital overload. And let's be real, even if we could somehow overcome this digital overload, who actually has the time to create a physical photo album these days?
Right. Everyone's so busy. Between work, family, social life, making a photo album seems like this huge undertaking.
Totally. The article even had a quote from someone saying, "Making a photo album feels like a luxury I just can't afford." And I bet a lot of people feel that way.
Definitely. And it makes you wonder, right? Are our values changing when it comes to memories?
You mean like, is that instant gratification of a digital, like, more valuable to people than taking the time to preserve a memory in a more tangible way?
Yeah, like maybe the act of sharing something digitally is enough for some people.
It's a fascinating question, and it makes me wonder if maybe those physical photo albums are becoming even more special in a way, like they represent something that's becoming increasingly rare.
What do you...
Like this intentionality, this effort to curate and preserve memories in a more thoughtful way.
That's a really interesting perspective. Like in a world that's so fast-paced and fleeting, those photo albums represent something that's slowing down, taking the time to appreciate the past.
Exactly. And that ties into this whole trend we're seeing with nostalgia for tangible things. Vinyl records, film photography, even printed books are making a comeback.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's like there's this craving for something real, something with texture and weight in a world that often feels very virtual.
So maybe photo albums are part of that too. Maybe they're becoming a way to reclaim something tangible, something that connects us to our memories in a more meaningful way.
It's certainly possible. And it would make sense, right? Like in a world where everything is digital and fleeting, those physical photo albums offer a sense of permanence.
I like that, a sense of permanence. So for everyone listening out there, we're curious. Have you experienced this shift from physical to digital photo albums? Do you still find value in those old school albums? Or are they gathering dust on a shelf somewhere?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. The article we read actually shared a few different perspectives from other listeners, and it's really interesting to see how people are approaching this whole thing.
Should we talk about some of those different approaches now? Yeah, definitely. Let's dive into it.
Okay. So one person mentioned that they used to have this massive photo album filled with pictures from their childhood and early adulthood,
Oh, wow.
but now it's tucked away in a closet somewhere. They said they fully embrace the digital world and share everything on social media now.
That's interesting. So they've completely transitioned to digital.
Yeah, it seems like it. Then there was someone who said they still cherish their physical photo album.
Really?
Yeah, they said it holds a special kind of magic for them to be able to hold those memories in their hands.
Oh, that's sweet. It sounds like they really value that tangible connection to the past.
Definitely. And then another listener mentioned that they take a bit of a hybrid approach.
A hybrid approach.
Yeah, so they use digital for everyday moments.
Yeah.
Just snapping quick pics on their phone.
Mm.
But then they create a yearly photo book with all the highlights.
Oh, that's a cool idea. So they get the best of both worlds.
Exactly. They get the convenience of digital and the sentimentality of a physical album. That's awesome. It's so cool to see how people are finding what works for them.
Yeah, and it shows that there's no right or wrong way to approach this. It's all about what feels right for you and your relationship.
I love that. It's all about finding what helps you connect with your memories in a way that feels authentic and meaningful. And that's what's so great about this whole conversation, right? There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what works best for you.
And with that in mind, let's move on to the next part of our discussion, where we'll explore some tips and ideas for finding that balance between digital and physical photo albums in a way that works for you and your partner. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. This is where it gets really exciting.
So many different ways to approach this whole photo album thing, huh? But how do we make it work for us? Find that sweet spot between digital and physical.
Well, I think a hybrid approach is a great place to start.
Hybrid approach. What do you mean by that?
Think of it this way. You keep all your everyday moments, those spontaneous shots, in a digital archive.
Yeah.
But then you pick out the really special ones, the ones that make you smile, and print those for a physical album.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like curating your own little memory museum?
Exactly. And the article actually had this great tip
Oh.
about setting aside time to actually look at photos together.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Like actually schedule it in.
Right. Whether it's digital or physical, make time for it. It's about being intentional about connecting with those memories.
It's so easy to just let those photos sit there on our phones or in the cloud.
It is. But taking the time to revisit them together, it'd be really powerful. It's like you're reliving those moments.
It doesn't have to be a chore either.
No, not at all.
You can make it fun, turn it into a date night, grab some snacks, put on some music, and just reminisce.
I love that. It becomes a shared experience, a way to reconnect.
Because ultimately, it's all about finding what works for you and your relationship, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to cherish those memories.
Yeah.
Whether it's through a physical album, a digital slideshow, or even just scrolling through your phone together and sharing stories.
It's about finding what feels meaningful and authentic to you as a couple.
Exactly.
So we've talked about those physical albums, the rise of digital, and the importance of finding that personal balance. But what does it all mean in the grand scheme of things?
That's a great question.
Like, why are we so drawn to these different ways of remembering?
Well, if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, there's a growing nostalgia for tangible experiences in our increasingly digital world.
You know what? You're right.
And it's not just about photos. Think about vinyl records, film photography, even printed books.
They're all making a comeback. It's like we crave something real, something we can hold in our hands.
Yeah, because digital can feel a bit fleeting sometimes, right?
Definitely. So maybe those tangible objects offer a sense of permanence.
A way to ground ourselves in a world that's constantly changing.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is this trend of printed photos and that vintage aesthetic we see everywhere a way of reclaiming something tangible?
Maybe it's a way of connecting to our own stories in a more meaningful way.
That's a really cool thought.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening, what resonates with you most?
Yeah, think about it for a second. Is it that carefully crafted photo album? The easy sharing of digital photos? Or maybe a mix of both?
There's no right or wrong answer here.
It's all about what feels right for you.
How you want to preserve those memories.
And as you continue to explore this topic and figure out what works best for you, we want to leave you with one final thought.
A little something to spark your curiosity. Could it be that we crave something more lasting? Something that we could hold on to in a world that feels so temporary?
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do those tangible memories fit into your life?
Yeah.
How do you balance digital convenience with the emotional weight of something you can physically hold?
That's a great question for everyone to consider. I mean, we've covered so much today, haven't we?
We have.
Those photo albums that our parents loved, the digital explosion, ultimately how to make it all work for you and how you keep those relationship memories alive. It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've seen how documenting life has evolved, how those changes reflect bigger trends, and maybe even a desire for tangible connection
Hmm.
in a world that's become so digital.
Yeah. And as you keep flipping through those mental photo albums, think about this. What stories do you want to tell? What moments are worth holding on to? How do you find that sweet spot between digital and physical, fleeting and lasting, in a way that feels real and meaningful to you?
It's a journey, finding that balance. But it's a worthwhile one, isn't it?
Absolutely. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope this has given you some things to think about. Maybe even inspired you to dust off that old photo album or create something new, something that captures those special moments in your life.
Preserve those memories.
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring and keep those memories alive.